My name is Jeff Wooten, and I am from 2B Mobile. We are a West Coast distributor for Goldman, which is the ceiling lift equipment you guys have purchased for the district. In my opinion, this is the best equipment on the market to date, and you guys will get many years of use out of this equipment and will be great for your school district. What we're going to do today is explain the use of the GH3 ceiling lift system and how it operates, and the use of putting the slings on the children for transfer from wheelchair to the ground for PT, or to move within the bathrooms for toileting, and basically it's for safe transfer to keep the caregivers and the teachers safe from injury. We're going to start with the use of the GH3 lift, and the hand control function is a two-function system, just up and down. The system will go quiet and be turned off, and all you have to do to get the system to awaken is to just simply push the button and the system will start functioning. You'll see up here we have a green charging light. Okay, that light will be green when the system is getting charged. The system charging happens on this side of the classroom. As you can see where the rail is split right here, once I move the motor back to the other side here, in a few moments the light on the machine will turn yellow, and all the yellow is indicating is that I'm not getting a charge. It doesn't mean that there's any problem with the machine. It's just that the batteries will then be taking over and functioning the lifts. If we have a power outage, the lifts should function for between 40 to 50 lifts, depending upon the children's weight that are being lifted. But see right now we've got the gold light, and then once I move the system back to this side of the classroom, and we get past the rail gap there, it went back green. Okay, the system can charge anywhere along this traverse rail, so we don't have to dock it. Okay, a lot of this older systems, we had one particular place where we had to take the motor to, both on the traverse rail and on the static rail. But on this system, anywhere along this first rail here and along the traverse rail all the way across the room, the motor can be left, and as long as you see green light, it'll be charging. This right here, it's our parachute. And basically what this does is if I pull this red cord, it'll shut the machine off. There's no activity happening to the motor, so it won't be accepting a charge at this point, and you have no function here. When the teachers and staff are working with the machine, if they happen to come up to the machine and, hey, I'm not getting any activity, we want to be sure that if you see a yellow line around here, that we just have to push the reset button back up, and then the motor should be functioning. Okay? And a lot of times we'll get service calls, my machine's not working, and the first thing we ask is, has someone pulled the emergency cord? And we'll have you check to be sure that that's not the case. So just reset the machine. Okay, the other function of the emergency cord is it's called a parachute. Okay, if we had a student up in the system and by chance the hand control went bad, or the motors died, or the batteries died, what it does is it allows you to to disconnect the motor, and then if you gently pull down on this, you can see that the motor will function and lower the individual, so you can get them out. Okay, but once that's done, we want to be sure that we push the reset button and we can get charging again. As far as the battery life goes, the batteries are they're the new NiCad batteries, and they're set by Goldman for 20,000 lifts. So we're seeing we might be looking at a battery replacement, depending upon use, 3 to 5 years down the road. So, and as far as the slings go, let me talk real quick about the hanger bar. If by chance you wanted to just, if you're not having use of the system, if you see right here, you have a yellow button on the hanger bar. If I push that yellow button, I can take the hanger bar off. We can store it somewhere, and then that'll take away the need for someone to grab it and want to swing and play with it. So we can store this somewhere until you want to use it. And then the way to put it back on is you just push the button. Go back in, and you're back up. You can also see on the function of the hanger bar that you have 360-degree mobility. So once you have the person up, you can rotate them once they're up in the system. And that's about it on the functionality of the motor. Okay, the system that you have installed in the classroom, it's a full room covering system. And what I mean by that is that we have 2 static rails that run the distance of the room, and you have a traverse rail that runs back and forth. And what that allows us to do is make transfers within this H pattern system. So we can come all the way down here, and we've put in stops along the rail here, so we won't get into the teacher's desk. And then we can make the motor, and we can move the motor side to side. Okay? And with that, we can come all the way over to this side as well. Okay? Now, because your system is so large, your traverse rail is at 24 feet wide, what we want to do is always make our transfer as best we can to the middle of the room. So we can actually pick up a student on the side of the room over here, but then what I would like to have you guys do and get it used to is to move the student to the center and then use the lane to push him to this side of the room. And then we can then take them back over to the side or transfer them to their wheelchair here in the center. And once again, to reiterate where we were at on the charging, on this side of the room, the system is not receiving a charge. And what that does is it will have a gold light turn on the motor here, and the gold light just indicates that we're not getting a charge. And then at the end of the day, what you want to do is move the rail to this side of the room, or where the exits are at. And once the rail's on this side, the system will be back charging for overnight charging. It's running off battery anyway, but what the battery is doing is it's constantly being fed power on this side, or on the other side it's not. Because the systems are the same in both classrooms, the systems both charge on the bathroom side of the classroom. So that way, if an individual is working in either classroom, the system's going to charge where the bathrooms are located, on the side of the classroom where the bathrooms are located. Now the systems will work throughout the whole room, no matter what, because the system's always running off the battery. But just for overnight charging, they need to be on the bathroom side of the classroom. There are several slings available from Goldman for transfers. The number one slings that we use is called a basic high, and sling is it gives support all the way to the top of the head, so you have neck and head control. And then we have a basic which cuts at about the shoulder, and then we have a basic low that comes to mid back. So depending upon the student's capabilities, slings can be ordered accordingly. We also have a net sling, which is this material here, which allows for use in the shower or for bathing purposes. A lot of times they're a lot easier to use because they wash easily and dry very quickly. We have a toileting sling. It's called an active micro that's specific for use on the toilet. And then we have, for someone who has the capabilities to get out of their chair but needs some assistance with walking, we have what's called an active trainer, which is basically a gait trainer, which allows the student to be able to stand upright. You can take the load off of them, off their feet, and the use of the slings cradles them in their legs, and then they can actually physically walk with the sling if they have that ability to do so. A quick story: we have a child up in the Ventura County School District who was totally wheelchair bound. We got him on the active trainer. They put on music and he spun around the room and danced, and it was just unbelievable what he did. But what we'll do now is we'll take one of the basic highs and we'll work on transfers from the wheelchair just to show how to put on the sling, how to make the lift and move around the room, and then we can move to the bathroom and do a quick bathroom transfer there too. These are all washable. This is that active micro, which goes around the waist this way and basically leaves your butt out so you can go down onto the toilet. These come with, we call them bones, and these can be taken out or put in, but you take them out to wash, okay, and then you can slide them back in. But what this does is it just gives them skeletal back support if they need it. And they come in both for the mesh sling as well as this. On the basic high, they've got the bones that come with them. Okay. And then the basic high also is really nice if you've got a child that kind of needs a timeout. A lot of times these perform a cocooning effect, so the student will get in, and if they're kind of freaking out, they'll actually calm down being in the sling itself, because it gives them a real calming effect. So, but what we'll do is we'll start with the basic high and make some transfers. I had talked briefly earlier about the different sling design. This is a basic, and this sling here will come up right along the shoulder line. It will not provide the head support. The basic high, if we were using that sling, would provide head support and neck support. What we want to do is start off with, you'll see on the back here, it's got a sleeve for your hand to go into. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Hector slide forward a little bit. We're going to put our hand in the pocket, and we're going to slide it all the way down to this tailbone. And then we're going to bring the legs around the sides here. Okay. And one thing we want to do on the wheelchair is we always want to make sure that our tires are locked down. What we'll do for demonstration here is we'll turn the chair around so you can see. What you can do is see here is that the sling can drape out the back of the chair. The child could stay in the sling all day with the sling, as the material is really soft material, so it's not going to abrase them. And then that way the transfers will be made quick and easily. Okay, and then what we want to do to put the sling on is we're going to bring there you go. Bring each leg, strap underneath the leg. Hung up on it. Can I have you come forward a little bit? Okay, and the important thing here is, you want to crisscross through. Okay, and what this does is it prevents the student from sliding out of the sling. Okay? And we'll bring the lift over. We always want to watch the head. Slide the loops on, and you'll see the different positioning here. Okay, I'll see. Tried an extra large on you, huh? once we have the loops on, we can start to lift, come up. You probably feel some adjustment. How do you feel?
Feel good.
You can see we can move them quite easily. And with the 360-degree rotation, we can rotate the student. And from this position, we can actually, if you had a floor mat, then we can move them to the side, move them over to the floor mat, and take them all the way. I'm going to take you down, but I won't put you on the floor. We could take them all the way down and put them on the floor. And then pick them back up. The loops on the slings, you'll see a green loop here on this sling here, is if we're in the bathroom and the lift's a little bit lower because of the ceiling height and we want to get the student up higher to get onto a changing table, we might need to go to the green straps in order to lift them up. If we need a child to be more in a supine or a lay back position, we can put the green on the front and leave the loops long on the back here. So we'd go green and gray, and what that would do is it would put the child more in a cradle position. Okay. Once more, we're going to do a transfer demonstration, but we're going to use the green straps in the front and the gray straps in the back, and what that'll do is it'll put Hector in more of a cradled position. And then, and what you're going to want to do is, depending upon the student and the student need, is see which colors might work best for that student and talk to the school nurse about that. And then what we also suggest would be is to do a chart, so that way you know that Johnny takes gray and gray and Judy takes red and gray, or and so on and so forth. That way it's not guessing, and you can quickly go to a chart and know what size sling to use and also what colors go with that child. So once again, we're going to go with the green on the front, or the legs, and the gray at his back. I'm going to go up nice and easy. No, it's a little tight on you. And you can see here where he's laid back a little bit more than he was before. And on some of the smaller slings, there's quite a bit more adjustability in it, so you can lay them back even further. But on this particular sling, we have just the two colors. And then the best practice would be for each caregiver to practice among themselves to get familiar with the system, get used to what the sling characteristics are, so that way it's real familiar when you use them on the students. So you can either hold on to the hand control while you're doing the lift transfer, or you can put it on the hanger bar with these little clips on the back, and then utilize it that way, and just leave it on the hanger bar altogether. Now, I would think that if you had a combative student, I think that you would probably want to operate it as a two-person transfer and not do it as a solo. The weight capacity of the lift is 440 pounds. The slings are rated to 550, so it doesn't matter which size, they're all rated the same. And then the system itself has been load tested to 1.5 times the motor rating. So when we installed it, we load tested each point. Okay, some things to remember on the system would be, one, if the system isn't working properly or if the system's shut down at all, we want to make sure that the emergency cord isn't pulled. So we want to be sure that that reset button's not pulled. We want to reset the motor. You should be able to just start the machine, and once that machine's started, you should be good to go. As far as transfers go, we want to make sure we transfer down the center of the classroom. You can pick up the student on the sides, but always bring them to the center, and then you can transfer back and forth within the classroom or up and down in the classroom. Always want to make sure that your leg straps are crossed like this before you attach to the hanger bar. That way the student won't fall through. And then if you have a student that's more hyperactive or very active while they're in their chair, you might want to do a two-person transfer just to make sure one person's calming the student down while the other person's getting the sling on them and attaching it to the hanger bar. Make sure that, and you always want to make sure that the hanger bar is away from the face. You know, it's going to come down to put the sling on, but we want to be sure that you don't hit the person's head on the hanger bar. Okay, the charging position at night is going to be, for both classrooms, is going to be on the bathroom side of the classroom. So the lift can be anywhere in the room at any point during the day, but when you guys leave at the end of the day, please move the lift to the bathroom side of the classroom, then that way the system will charge overnight. Yeah, we can go to, for any more additional information, there's some training videos available from Goldman. It's www.guldmann.net, and it's under the GH3 system. We will also be sending to the risk manager some videos on that as well, so that way we can be sure that you get the information you need.